Greetings, weary travelers, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be reading a couple of submissions by you guys, but it's actually not going to be reaction sleepover today. Let me tell you why. When I read especially the first one, it didn't feel like it fit the vibes of reaction sleepover. Because reaction sleepover, we keep it pretty lighthearted, we make a lot of jokes. And with this one, I would still love to read it because I think there is some really good conversations to be had, but it's more on the serious side. And so is the second one. They're both stories where, again, I think it would be great to have a conversation about them, but I wanted to set the right vibe for it. So if you're not looking for that today, if you want more of the silly funny, I have plenty of other videos. Hello, microphone. I have plenty of other videos you can watch instead. It's totally okay if you are not in the mood to have this kind of conversation today, because the first one is actually going to involve domestic violence, so content warning on that. Take care of yourself, and if this is not a good topic for you to listen to, or if you're just looking for more silly, feel free to click off. It's totally okay. That's why the theme of the video is just going to be PocoChats. We're going to talk about the things in these submissions that I think are very important and hopefully create a very comforting, safe space to do so, because that's what we try to do here. So again, not reaction sleepover, because I read enough of both of these stories that I wanted to give it the appropriate energy. This is relationship / what to do. And I'll say right off the bat, they put an edit at the very beginning part of it, so if it's a little confusing, that's what that is. I should also say that my fiance went to heart bypass in August this year and back in the hospital 2 weeks ago due to an infection due to complications of the surgery, and he's been out of the hospital November 2nd. Edit for surgery part, can't forget that. I, 27 female, am in a relationship with someone who is older than me, and when I moved in, he was renting out a house, him and I in the basement apartment, while he rented 5 bedrooms and a loft. First 2 years were good, and the last 4 years have been domestic violence and financial, emotional, mentally, and love bombing. Love going out to you, my friend. I'm promising that him and I would get our own place, which hasn't happened within the last 4.5 years. Now skip forward to 2022, August. Weird pause to take there. 2022 August, where he had to remove tenants due to bylaw and the house not being a rooming house, kicks them out, and September brings 2 of 5 tenants back. Knowing that one more call from the bylaw, not just the 2 tenants being kicked out again, but both of us with my 2 cats as well. The last year has been a bit of a crap show with the water heater breaking, no heat now for the Canadian winter, gotta bundle up like crazy. And I'm getting crapped on by one tenant who he knows has anger issues from 2 brain tumor surgeries, about the hot water not working, the heat, toilet, just crap that needs to be fixed, and I'm not the one on the lease, my fiance is. But still the tenant always yells and gets abusive / defensive about not talking to him instead. I have talked to a buddy of mine and his landlord is willing to rent me and my boys, cats, a room at the end of November. How or what do I do? And if I do leave, how do I talk to my fiance about me moving out? And I actually received an update from her that she is actively working on moving out. I'm very proud of you for doing what you can to take care of yourself, because above all else, your safety and happiness is so important, and you do not deserve to be treated like this whatsoever. And anyone else who's in a similar situation, absolutely not. You do not deserve this. And please keep in mind, I'm not an expert in this area, but like I said, I do still think that it's good to bring awareness about these things, to do our part to let people know that they don't have to be alone, that there are resources out there, and that they are capable of putting themselves first, capable of looking after themselves and ensuring that they are in a safe, happy, peaceful environment, because everyone deserves that. There are certainly situations out there where if it's bad enough, then it's recommended to leave without notification, because sometimes that's what you need to do to put your safety first. So if anyone's in a position like that, please keep that in mind. If you are in a position where you desire to still have communication about leaving, above all else, please put your safety first. If there's at all an indication where things can go badly upon notifying them that you are leaving, one of the first things is get some support, get some backup, to do what you can to have someone like physically and emotionally with you, right? Because you don't have to do this alone. If you do choose to notify them that you're leaving, again, having that backup, maybe do it in a public place, just to have as much of that cushioning as possible. Like, I would recommend don't do it alone. But yeah, that's one of my biggest things, is do what you can to not deal with it by yourself, because there's so much support and love out there for you, I promise. Please don't feel like you have to do it on your own. There are crisis phone numbers you can call. In fact, I'll list a few in the description for anyone who needs it, because even though I'm not an expert, calling them, they will help you walk through it. They will give you resources and help and support, all of those good things. Every situation is unfortunately different, and each situation has to be dealt with that safety in mind. Like, no matter what, put safety first. For some people, they can't leave right away because it's not safe to. But it's still important to start taking the steps to figure out how to, and again, to do it safely. And just know that you don't have to do it alone. I think when it comes to putting yourself first, especially in a situation like this, can, for many reasons, be really, really hard to do. And that's okay. That's okay that it's hard and that it's uncomfortable and scary. But deep down, trust yourself that you know what you need to do and take care of yourself. To trust the part of you that knows that this isn't okay, and do what you can to start taking the steps to give yourself the life and the relationships that you deserve. And above all else, do what you can that will make you feel the most safe. And again, I totally understand that it's really difficult to put yourself first, but please do. Please know that you are loved and that you do not have to be alone in this, and there are resources out there for you. And again, I am not an expert, but I hope whatever I've said in this video has been helpful to both the OP and to anyone else who's in a similar situation. So yeah, trust that part of yourself that knows that this isn't okay, and use that trust and do what you can to get yourself to safety in every way. You know, get support, reach out to resources. Again, I will list those resources below in the description. Above all, know that you can do this, even when it feels like you can't. This doesn't have to be forever. For everyone who has experienced or is experiencing abuse, please know that you do not have to settle for this. And what happened to you or is happening to you is not your fault at all. But yeah, above all else, take the steps that you safely can to get yourself to safety. You can do this! I believe in you! If anyone has any other thoughts to share, please do. Let's all support each other. This is what the sleepover is about. All right, my lovely people, we're now going to transition to the next submission. This is actually another by Season Sector, so please go give him some love. He's cool, you know? The title is The School Made Me Go on Autopilot. Hello again. This story isn't lighthearted like the last two, but I'm choosing this one so it can go back to the hee-hees and ha-has, because trust me, it's needed. That's okay. That's what this video is about, like I said. This happened in 2008, 6th grade in Arizona, not current state where the last two stories took place. I want to officially start this with, I was an okay student, not the best, not the worst. I tried to aim for B's at best, C's and D's at worst, but on top of that I had / currently have ADHD, and I was on medication for it. For added context, I was on meds for a few months, but they were messing with something in me, so I had to stop. Yeah, that must be such a tough thing, because there's so many different medications you can take, and they all can affect you so differently. Ugh, and adding school on top of that, it is not your fault for struggling, because that's an honest problem that at least American education has, where people have different brains. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there needs to be more, not only support, but structure for allowing students with different brains, different functioning brains, neurodivergent, all of that, to be able to thrive. Because there's been some progress, I'd like to think, right? Try to be hopeful, but there's certainly much more that needs to take place. And to not make these students feel like I must just be bad, like I'm inherently bad because my brain just works differently. No! So the first few months school was meh. I was going through it, no problem. But I also had an IEP, which means I had quarterly parent-teacher conferences, which are supposed to help the teachers explain what the student needs help on. Yeah, I actually, for those of you who don't know, I studied music therapy before I switched to being a professional goofball on the internet. And I learned about IEPs. IEPs are, like he said, like supposed to help students who need them to thrive. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. Yeah, it's designed to help students with able to actually participate in the class, to actually be able to use those accommodations in order to actually thrive and learn in the ways that their brain allows them to do. The first PTC, the teachers, I think, were trying to lessen the blow and be like, he likes to learn, or something like that, but here's what's wrong in class. And it's like, okay, you know I have learning issues. I knew that I have ADHD. It made me sad, but I tried to go about the school day. Yeah, that's gotta be so frustrating. It's like the teacher is aware that like you have ADHD or however else your brain is structured, and here's a plan to help me succeed. But I've heard stories where some teachers just don't care, or the school doesn't care, and that's where the problem is, because if you actually want them to thrive, you would care about making those appropriate accommodations, and you should care. Everything was going okay, but the second PTC happened, this started my path of self-destruction, because they're not giving enough support. During the second one, they were like, hey, we see Dave, fake name for me, isn't doing well in class. See, this is the desk he sits at. Look, he stuffs it full of papers, making his desk a mess, and they start pulling out the scrap papers or work pages I forgot to do, and they put me on something they have at the school called yellow contracts, aka personal hell of my existence. The yellow contracts were a thing that said, hey, this student did like turn in homework, follow directions, paid attention in class, and you would have the teachers mark it saying yes or no. And then the parent would sign it off and you'd turn it in the next day and pick up a new one. Okay. I think I remember the teachers say it would help me with my ADHD to keep me focused, but that's a lie. Great. It only put more pressure on me and the other students that had it. Yeah, that makes sense. It's just like one more thing you have to do on top of all the other things that you already have to deal with. That like ADHD makes it difficult to focus on those things. This just adds another thing. And it's like, as the teacher, you should see that like, okay, this is adding more stress to the student. So like, maybe let's figure something else out. Trying to give some grace to teachers. Teachers have to deal with a lot already. And due to that burnout, there is a lot of teachers like leaving school and a lot of the good ones leaving, which is really unfortunate. So we need more support for teachers as well. At the same time though, still please do what you can to help your neurodivergent students succeed. Because if this contract thing isn't helping, then you need to figure out something else. Well, I found out that if you don't have the contract signed, or you forget it, or you don't turn it in, or the teachers don't mark it, or they mark it with bad, you get detentions, if I remember correctly. I know if you didn't turn it in or the parents didn't sign, you got detentions. Again, if it's clear that that's not actually helping, if you're just like further punishing these students for something that they're already struggling so much with, like, how is that helping, you know? I feel like that's different from a student that's like just intentionally not doing work, or like someone who can help it, right? Like that's a different case. When there's a student who has ADHD or something like that, and they're already struggling, and your response to that is just give them detention, like you're punishing them for something they're already like probably punishing themselves for all the time, because they already feel different and alienated enough. Maybe help them, don't just give them detentions, because I'm sure there's a way to actually help them learn. I don't think just giving them detention when this doesn't work is going to help, because again, you're just punishing them more. But I think a teacher didn't sign it, so I got detention and something happened. I think a teacher got fed up with me or something, and so I had more detentions, and I just stopped turning in the contracts because it felt like no matter what, I was always going to be in detention. So for the rest of the second quarter and my second semester, I was in detention. Yeah, dude. Literally, if the teacher doesn't even sign it, like the student like is showing they are actually doing it, but if the teacher doesn't sign it, that means the student gets punished for that? How does that even make sense? If it's the teacher's fault, don't punish the student for not signing the thing. But you might ask, what if you turned in a contract? Does that mean you can eat lunch with your friends? Nope. The lady that ran detention goes to find you, and if you say, but I actually turned one in, she says, yeah, but you didn't finish serving your detentions, and so back I went to the detention room. Didn't finish your life sentence yet, for literally just having a different brain. And then the next PTC happens. Oh joy, oh joy. My most dreadful time has happened. Remember in the book story how I said I never expected a teacher to say you need to read masculine things? This is why I say I never expected to hear a teacher say that. The teachers are like, hey, Dave still isn't improving, and with how he is going, we don't expect him to make it past high school. I've heard this so many times, I still hear their voices sometimes. And then it's back to more detentions. Whoa! So they literally just gave up on you. They're literally failing as educators. They just literally just gave up on you. There was a way to help you, and they just refused to find it. It's okay to have some empathy and recognize that teachers get burnt out. That doesn't give you an excuse to just give up on your students either, though. Honestly, by the end of my 6th grade year, I was just so done that from 8th grade until late sophomore year, I was on autopilot thinking just pass with a D, and that's it. A D is the key, and I'll just scrape by. Which is so sad, because like, you were absolutely capable of thriving, and they didn't give you the right tools to do it. It didn't even seem like they tried that hard either. And this was 2008 too, which is even more like, you had even less support then, because the legitimacy of like having a different structured brain, literally, was even less like recognized or legitimized. That must be, oh, they must just be lazy. But it wasn't until junior year that I actually started trying to give the school, new one from the hee hee and haha stories, a chance. And I laughed still to this day because I graduated. Good job. Because for real, none of that was your fault. They literally gave up on you. And just proud of you for pushing through anyway and proving them wrong. I cannot believe a teacher would just say to their student, I don't think you're gonna graduate. Maybe you shouldn't be an educator then, because like, don't say that to students. That's not okay. There are so many students out there, past and present, that like every child is so capable of anything. And just because their brain works differently shouldn't keep them from that. So we need to keep pushing for that inclusion and that giving them the proper tools to actually help them succeed and not make them feel even more frustrated than they're probably already feeling about how they feel like they're not fitting in, or how they're feeling like they can't get the work done like other students. Like, I guarantee they're already feeling that way. So please don't make it worse by punishing them for it. Don't just give them detentions. Like, actually try to help them. Because I guarantee, like, there are so many that like they want to learn. They just have a hard time learning in the current setting they're in because their brain just works differently. And for all students and maybe parents of these students that struggle in school for like similar reasons, please don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, because you are 100% absolutely deserving of having a proper, inclusive, good education. And you can accomplish anything you want to, regardless of people who say you won't get past high school or something. Thanks for your glowing review, Jan. Just so many students who don't reach their potential because the adults in their life just simply didn't believe in them. Duh! We all collectively as a community should keep pushing for that inclusion in schools and beyond. Like, everyone should feel welcome, no matter where they come from, no matter how their brains function. Everyone deserves a place. All right, my friends, that's going to be it for today. Although this video wasn't inherently meant to be entertaining, you know, as much as others, I hope that you learned something new or useful, that this video has been helpful of some kind, because both of these stories really fit into this idea of not quite the usual goofiness of Reaction Sleepover, but still, like, we should talk about these things. Because as much as I wish to entertain and just be a goofball on this channel, I also want to use the platform to talk about things that are important, and just use my itty bitty little voice to voice those things, and to let people know that you are not alone, and that we all got to do our part to be there for each other and support each other, uplift each other, all those good things of being a good human. And like we talked about in the first submission, that you absolutely deserve to feel happy and safe. And then piggybacking onto the second submission, you deserve to thrive too. Everyone deserves to thrive, and we should all be given and also give the opportunity for everyone to achieve that. So anyway, I will stop blabbing. That will be the end of the video. Please give any and all of your thoughts about both of these in the comments below. Again, that's part of why I think these kinds of videos, although they're not as jovial, they are still important to talk about. And so I like the opportunities to talk about them in the right vibe, you know? So please let me know all your thoughts and suggestions and all the good things. I appreciate you all very, very much. Stay safe, take care of yourselves and each other, do your best to be a good human, and I will see you in the next video.